trap, the law says 33 1/3 feet from the center of the section. And we have some of these section roads in eastern South Dakota, but out west, or even in the north central, northeast part of the state, there's lots of them, and so there's just unlimited trapping you can do on these. We've got an alfalfa field here, and this is mowed. Right now it's deer season, so I'm a little leery about setting on these, but so far I haven't had any trouble on them. We've got a set right up here by this fence, and I don't see anything jumping around. And then there's a pile of brush over here where I can hide a set. And I don't see anything jumping around there, so we've got 2 more up here down the road. And I actually know the guy that has the land on each side of this road, so it wouldn't be a problem with permission anyway, but if he said no, I could still trap it, but I probably wouldn't. And then there's a little bridge up here. It's good for mink. I'm not trapping mink or coon this year, just canines. I got stuck back here last year in a snowdrift. I don't see anything jumping. Oh, yep, right over here we got one jumping. And that's a fox. We got more coyotes than fox, so it's kind of a nice surprise. We'll get out and dispatch him and remake the set. We've set this fence line right beside the road, and we picked up a fox, and like I said, that's kind of nice. We don't have a lot of fox anymore, and it's a good fox. It's November 23rd, so he's nice and prime. And we'll dispatch him and remake the set and be on our way. This fox is caught in a trap that's too big for it. I'm geared up for coyotes, and I got a number 2 trap here. And I caught him too high. You want a pad catch. The ideal trap for a fox is the 1.5 coil, and this is a number 2. But what saves us is we got the inline swivel, then we got the stake swivel down here, and then we got a swivel right here, and so that can minimize the damage to the paw. I like remaking sets after you catch a canine, because you got plenty of good material to work with, and it all smells like that canine, and you can kind of steer them into the set. No need for any lure or urine. I'm going to put a little bait down there. And that's that. This fox, you can see, as compared to an October fox, his neck is filled in, his flanks are nice and thick. He's just about at the peak, I would say, as far as primeness. They probably don't get much better. And we'll be on our way. Lures and the different categories of lures, and essentially how to make these lures work the best for you. And there's 2 categories of lures essentially, and then there's some subcategories. And I use them all from time to time, but your lures really are broken up into the 2 categories of natural extracts from the critter, from the canines, glands, other parts, and then you have your non-natural lures, which are caul lures. So they're gland and caul lures is what they're broken into. And in the subcategories, you have a matrix lure that falls into the category of gland lures, and a matrix lure is attractive to during the mating season, and it's taken from the female coyote or fox when they're in heat, and it's made into a lure. And I don't use a lot of them because normally I'm not trapping in late January, although I am this year. But they can be good at any time. I mean, let's face it, anything of the sex nature can arouse the curiosity of fox or canine any time of year, but they're best during mating season. And then of course you got your gland lure, like I mentioned. Those are the two parts of the natural lures, or the gland lures. And but then in the call lures are designed to, of course, call an animal in. And call lures consist of like food lures. And food lures work better when the hunting's tough. They don't work as well if you're an ADC trapper. And there's plenty of rabbits and mice around, and it hasn't gotten cold yet, and the critters don't have to eat as much. They aren't as good, but when times get tough and the weather gets cold and the canines have to eat daily, they don't have that fat, and in particular the fox. The food lures can work good, and there's all kinds of different food lures, and then you've got your long distance call lure. And you know, I'll talk a little bit about how you use each of these lures. I've used plenty of long distance call lures, and a lot of times there's skunk in them. Not all call lures are strong smelling, but we'll talk about that. The gland lures, and in particularly gland lure itself. And by the way, before I go into that, just a note about types of lures and brands of lures that you use. There's some good lure makers out there, and I like to mess around making my own stuff. When it comes to lures though, there's some guys that have spent their whole lives messing with lures and studying the critters and the reactions to them, and then there's some guys that have had lure formulas passed on down to them, and those lures have good backup research with them. And so there's some really good brands of lures, and I would stick with a lure that's been around a while, because that means it's been successful, people are buying it. And I'm purposely not showing you what kind of lures I have here. I could recommend a host of good lure makers, and I've used a number of different brands. I kind of stick with one or two anymore. But anyway, let's talk